Before we begin, I want to take a moment to honor the emotional safety of everyone listening. Radiant Resilience often explores real stories of struggle, healing, and the human experience. Because of that, episodes may include sensitive or triggering topics. Specific topics for each episode are listed in the episode description, so please check there to determine if this conversation feels right for you today. This podcast is meant to offer connection, understanding, and shared humanity, but it is not a substitute for professional advice or support. If you find yourself needing help, please reach out to qualified professionals or trusted resources in your life. Your mental and emotional well-being matters deeply here. Thank you for your courage, your openness, and for joining me in this space of compassion and resilience. Welcome back, everyone, to Radiant Resilience. I am so excited for this conversation today. I think that we're going to dive into some really great topics here. I have with me Malisa Hepner. She is a therapist, podcast host, and public speaker who helps people quiet the noise of trauma, reconnect with themselves, and embody the light. She's the host of Emotionally Unavailable and one of the hosts of Unquiet Soul, two shows that open space for deep, real, and transformative conversations. Malisa is also the creator of healing workbooks like Safe to Be Seen and The Beauty of Imperfection, Good is Enough. Drawing on both her professional expertise and her lived experience as a survivor of complex PTSD, she's passionate about helping people move beyond overthinking, perfectionism, and fear of visibility to live more grounded, authentic, and joyful lives. I love your bio, Malisa. Thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good, other than some wild virus that came out of nowhere a couple of days ago. I don't normally sound like this. I was like, oh, my immune system has failed me. But then
Oh.
because I wasn't on my deathbed for longer than a day, I was like, okay, my bad. I overreacted, but I hate sounding like this. So
I
forgive.
mean, there's never time in life to be sick. Like,
Oh,
it's just the worst.
it really is. And at 45, it just is. That's so rude.
Yeah.
Nobody needed this in their day. Come on.
And at this point, like you have your podcast, I have mine. There's been so many times I've had to reschedule because if you don't have a voice, like it's not even that I don't feel bad. Like I feel good, but then I just have a
Uh-huh.
voice. So it's so
Uh-huh.
frustrating.
Yeah, I had to
So,
cancel one on Friday and I was so bummed about it. I was like,
oh.
because I always feel like they think I'm lying, but I'm like, you can call me and hear me. Because like
Yeah.
that day, like the chest congestion was so bad, there was no talking. I was like, I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry you're not feeling good, but I'm glad you're here.
Me too. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm going to let you start wherever you want to start in your personal journey. It sounds like you've been through a lot in life, like a lot of us have. But yeah, I'm going to let you go ahead and wherever you feel like is a good point to start and go from there.
Okay. I'm not gonna lie to you. I suck at this part because I'm such a talker and I'm so long-winded. I've timed myself on this intro before, and Lord howdy, I can get up to 5 minutes. So I'm gonna try to chill a little bit and give you more of highlights, but stuff that really lets like where the stuff came from. But like my trauma really started, I'm gonna say at birth, because by
Mm.
2 months old I was in the hospital be with a failure to thrive diagnosis, but it was because I was like they were putting like orange juice in my bottle instead of formula.
Oh, wow. Your parents were.
Yes, because they were just young, dumb, and addicts. So like I know that their intent was not to harm me, but they were that messed up.
How old were
So
they when they had you?
not young. So my mom, okay, do the math. She was born in August of 62 and I was born in June of 80. But I wasn't her first child. Like I have a brother who's like 13 months older than me.
Mhm.
Not even quite 13 months. He was born May of 79. I'm June of 80 and then my younger brother is August of 81.
Oh, wow.
She like ran away from home at 14 though and met my dad who was hooked up with some real bad folk. He was
Mm.
older than her, I think 5 years, 58 to 62. Anyway, he had a child with his first wife, much younger also. Like I think he was around 16, 17 when he had his first. Then with my mom, he had us three. And then later also had two more little girls with his third wife. And they had a much more
Wow.
stable situation until he died. But yeah, so I think she was probably in the 18 range when
Mm.
I was born, and we were removed from care at that time. And that was post removal of my older brother, even. So he had removals during
Oh.
his first year, and then here we are again, more removals. So it really started very young.
And were
And I would
they,
say,
was it
yeah,
alcohol addiction or was it drugs or?
it was everything,
Mm.
anything they could get their hands on, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think my mom might have been more alcohol at that time, but I really don't know. I know she was addicted to heroin too.
Wow.
I think they used intravenously since before I was born. I know that she used while she was pregnant because she didn't find out she was pregnant with any of us until she was like 5 months.
Oh, wow.
She did stop when she found out, but we're all very lucky that we didn't have more complications than we did.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so it was pretty gnarly. And we did a lot of back and forth with my maternal grandparents during
Mhm.
those years. But like my grandpa was so much a part of what was wrong with my mom. So he
Mhm.
really wasn't present when we were being raised either. So I usually just say grandma because he ended up divorcing her when I was like 11. And so then it was really just us. But we did a lot of back and forth because in the 80s, reunification was done very differently. So if your parents had 5 seconds of sobriety and met the little checklist, here you go, try again. And now, if you had three small children, the youngest or the whichever one, like the least problems, let's say, whatever the easiest to return first would be, is how they would do it. Then my grandma didn't want us. So it was like the second it looked
Mhm.
like she could take care of us, my grandma just handed us right back. And literally within 24 hours, usually in those early years, she was using again because she had no coping skills. And
Mhm.
us kids are like three little babies who are just terrorizing her. So,
Mhm.
yeah, she just did not do well with reunification.
What,
So
how
there
do
was
you
so much.
think that was, this is probably a stupid question, but was that more traumatizing, the back and forth, the back and forth, back
Yes.
and forth, than it would have been to stay either with your
Yes.
grandma or a foster care or something like that?
Yeah, because the inconsistency was awful. That's the thing that I've always said from a very wounded place, I will say. But from a very wounded place, I would always say, don't go back. Don't, and if that person doesn't look like they're going to be consistent, just let them walk out of their lives right now
Mm.
because it was incredibly difficult to never know what was going to set her off, and it felt like our fault. And
Yeah.
she was so young and wounded that like she would blame us for her behavior. Yeah, it was awful. And from a very early age, I knew she wasn't safe. We didn't do a
Mm.
lot of reunification with my dad. He was like, he didn't, I feel guilty saying this because I don't know how else to say it, but he wasn't trying to get us back. He, I think, identified early on, I suck at this, and I would rather be like this
Mm.
role in your life than to try to be in charge of you 24/7. He knew he wasn't a safe person. Like, he was an addict, and he knew that wasn't going away. And he appreciated my grandma for the sacrifices and
Mhm.
whatever. So, yeah, he was kind of like, hey, I would love to just be a part of their lives in whatever way. Whereas my mom really wanted desperately to be better and whatever. It just wasn't in the cards for her. But yeah, it was awful. And I remember being like, why can't we just stay with grandma? And then you just
Mm.
come visit us. And then my grandma had that codependent enmeshed idea of that's your mom. And
Oh,
so she let hers come over. Like we were exposed to stuff even when we were just living with our grandma because our mom would show up so fucked up, so
man.
bad. I remember my older brother hiding from her because he just couldn't stand her personality when she was on drunk or high or whatever. And he didn't want to see her like that. And my grandma just didn't understand that. Like, how could you not want to see your mom? Because it's scary and she's not safe. So, yes, we learned that very young, and I was not wanting to be with her any one of those times. The only
Yeah.
one who did was my younger brother. And you know how it is. This is the baby, mommy, you know what I mean? And so I think that really created some real resentment in our sibling dynamics
Mm.
because we're like, what do you mean she's a fucking psycho? We loved her so much, but we identified really early this is not a good idea for her to try to keep parenting us. And then within that time frame, that's when she didn't always just send us back to grandma. It was leave us home alone for a week at a
Mhm.
time, three small kids fending for themselves, or with a babysitter who was like the teenager down the street who ends up sexually abusing me.
Oh my
So it was like
God.
always something. There was never a calm moment. And I always say, I don't think I had a day of peace from the day I was born until I moved out of my grandma's house. Even then, the peace was difficult because my mom was in that codependent cycle. And so she's calling me. I'm getting calls from like ERs at 2 in the morning. Can you come get your mom? And I'm like, you called her daughter, right? I'm not coming to get her at 2 o'clock in the morning. What are we
Yeah.
supposed to do with her? You can do whatever you need to do, but I'm not picking her up. So learning boundaries early on, it was
Yeah.
just, it was chaos, pure chaos from the time I was born.
Hi, friend, and welcome to this episode of Radiant Resilience. We are always looking for new guests on the podcast. I want to highlight you if you have a story of resilience that inspires others. Everyone has a story, and I believe that sharing yours can help others feel less alone. Are you ready to share your journey and inspire others? I want to hear from you. Every story has the power to impact lives and foster a supportive community. If you have a tale of overcoming adversity, personal growth, or a unique perspective on life's challenges, I would love to have you as a guest on the podcast. To become a guest, please email us directly at radiantresiliencepodcast@gmail.com or click the link in the show notes to become a guest. Join us in spreading hope, strength, and inspiration one story at a time. Be brave and share your story so others feel less alone. I hope to see you soon. Oh
Pure.
man. So were your teen years tumultuous? Were you a wild child in your teen years because of
No,
all
I'm the
this
golden
or
child of the system.
okay.
So my brothers were very wild,
Hmm.
which made me double down on the fact that I had this really enmeshed belief that my grandma deserved one good children out of the eight that she's raised. So I was like really working for to validate to her, like, you are good, you are loved, like whatever. And also, the more my brothers like behaved, or I will say, lived their pain very loudly, the more I doubled down on, I mean, I can really get some love and belonging here through my behavior. So I was very much trying to be the shining star. And on top of that, I had a very deep knowing from a very young age that I was going to be the cycle breaker. And it
Oh,
was very
interesting.
important to me to do that. And it, like, for years, I didn't touch drugs, alcohol. I've certainly dabbled since then, but I was very scared of any sort of substance because I didn't want to be any of my family members. There
I
was
mean,
so much like addiction in my family because I had an aunt even just addicted to little diet pills. I
mm,
had an aunt very alcoholic. I think there was one, I know one uncle, the one uncle I had struggled with alcoholism in younger age. I don't think he really did in as he aged. But there was, it was everywhere. It was everywhere in my
yeah.
family. And yeah, I really wanted to be the, and also I wanted to prove everyone wrong. We did have stints in and out of foster care, like outside placement. But my placement with my grandma converted to a kinship foster care when we were in around the time my grandpa left. So he leaves my grandma. She's going through menopause
Oh,
and losing her ever loving mind. And so she decides at that time, because my dad was in a stable situation, she's like, you're going to go live with your dad at Christmas break. And I'm in sixth grade. And of course, I start my period for the first time.
oh
Um,
no.
and I was devastated because I was like, wait a second. Dad has never been deemed a safe caregiver.
Yeah.
And you just are so like, here, I can't do it. So she was literally like just losing it. And I was like, okay, what are we gonna do here? And I was devastated. Like I was crying so hard. But my brothers were like, yay, dad. Because at that point they'd become resentful of my grandma. And
Mm.
he was the hero parent and whatever, because you know how that goes. But sometime during the break, she decides, okay, that's probably not the best idea. I don't think I can care for them anymore. And a lot of it was because of financials, because she had stayed at
Right.
home with us, and my grandpa owned a very successful business and just ripped it all out from underneath her. So a lot of it was just fear of how can I support them?
Yeah.
And so she calls DHS, our local office, and is, this is what I did. Dumped them off on their dad. I don't know. That's a great idea. Y'all got to go pick them up. And they were like, Betty, those children belong with you. Like they were very familiar with our case. And they said, hey, we're going to tell you about this private foster care agency. I don't know that they were new to our area or what. They did have specific guidelines for being admitted to their care, but they said, "Hey, they'll help you with the anything you need for the children and the kids will get counseling and just this is going to be a dream come true for you. Go get those kids. We're going to help you." And they did. And so we became part of the Casey family program. And I will always be forever like in gratitude to them because I got a lot of really amazing experiences. But more than that, we got to stay together. We were in a home that I felt safe in and loved and supported. And that was a really big part of our history. The boys did not appreciate the Casey Family Program and their rules, but I thrived under the structure because even though as the golden child you're overlooked so much because you're the one no one has to worry about, there was a place for me specifically within the system where I got to go like to leadership camps in Arizona. I'm in Oklahoma, but I got to attend Camp Anytown. I got to go on these wilderness work projects in Idaho where we built bridges in the Sawtooth Mountains and just did really cool stuff. So I got a lot of really awesome opportunities and really built a community within that of people I felt saw me because the label foster care really carries some heavy weight
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. And if, like, I learned early on, people didn't know how to respond to those parts of my story.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know how to, like, receive nurturing from people really.
Oh,
So
yeah.
whenever I would tell someone some snippet, the pain on their face, I would register as pity and be like, "Oh, I don't need anyone's pity," because I was already building up this narrative. I am not a victim. I'm a survivor. It was ridiculous, but I didn't know how to like sit in a moment where someone is feeling for me. So it was so much easier to be around people who had, frankly, worse stories than mine.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely comforting sometimes to have that, but it sounds like you were putting up some walls there too to not have to
Immediately.
address
Yes,
anything
yes.
too. So,
Walls that I'm honestly just removing,
uh,
specifically in the last year and a half, but like in the last couple of months, because when my dad died of an overdose when I was 15, and I started to recognize a few months ago, that's when I really started to place barriers between me and other people. In my head, the narrative was my friends are not showing up for me. And I believed it so much. I believed it so much. I felt like they abandoned me. And I started to realize I pushed them all away because if they
mm,
didn't show up how I thought they should show up, and how did I even have a notion of what a friendship should look like at 15 when your
yeah.
dad dies of an overdose?
Yeah, well,
But
what other 15-year-old is going to be able to know
right,
what to do for that?
right.
Yeah.
And I think it took me going, and how should they have shown up for me
Right.
to realize I was lying to myself. I was putting barriers because I was so afraid. I was so afraid of loss at that point. Like I remember very distinctly saying, "Who's next? Who's next?" Like now I'm very aware that people in my life are going to die, and I had already suffered so many types of loss at that point because
Yeah.
every time we were removed from care from my mom, all of those belongings of ours were gone.
Mm,
There was so many things that I had lost up to that point, and I really imploded at that point and just started pushing everyone away
mm,
and becoming very emotionally unavailable. And I think becoming very much the friend who rescued everyone else so that I
mm,
didn't have to look at my own stuff ever. And I'm
mm.
literally at 45, 30 years later. He died on Valentine's Day. So yesterday was the
Oh,
30-year
wow.
anniversary. 30 years it's taken me to understand that I did that to myself. I'm
Mm.
not mad at myself about it, but that
No.
narrative, it was strong enough for 30 years to believe. No, those assholes, they just didn't know how to support me.
Oh man, that's tough. When did you mentioned the babysitter sexually abusing you? When was that? Was that before you were 15?
Yeah, so that happened twice actually.
Jeez.
Once was around 2 or 3 years old. And I remember that still. Like
Wow.
I had memories of it. And in fact, but I didn't have the vocabulary
Sure.
until
Yeah.
probably like 5. And then I remember asking someone like, who would that have been? It was wild though, because like I'm really lucky that I don't remember the worst of it. I just remember the leading up to it.
Ooh.
My brothers and I were in the living room and he said, I'm gonna take your sister to have a bath. And they were like, she's already had a bath. Why are you?
Mm.
And wonder if it didn't even last as long because they were banging on the door the entire time. Let my sister out.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that's how much trauma we had already been through at that point for them to
Yeah.
even recognize like that's not okay. I mean, I do think my little brother was just following lead with my big brother, but I will never forget the look on my big brother's face. And I'm 2. He's if I'm 2 or 3, he's 3 or 4. I
Mm.
will never forget him saying she's already had a bath, she doesn't need a bath.
Wow.
And
And
just like registering. And I think it was like an apartment manager's son, if I remember. Like when I asked my mom, when I was like, this is what he looked like, she's, yeah, that was so and so's son. And I was like, cool, thanks for leaving me with him. That's really good. Thanks.
that's
And
crazy
then,
that your older brother at that young of an age knew that was not okay.
yeah, I really think that at some point he was sexually abused and he just never admitted to it. He was asked a
Mm.
thousand million times and maybe he blocked it out, but he
Yeah.
was very, and but he was a protector, like he was hyper vigilant. He had already been through because the foster home that he went to when we were like, I know I learned to walk in this foster home. So I think I went somewhere in the 6 month range and was there for a while. He was in a separate home and was suffered such bad abuse he had to relearn to walk.
Oh my
So
gosh.
he went through a lot. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he was sexually assaulted in that home and maybe blocked it out, but I think the earlier you receive trauma, the more hypervigilant you become. So he probably had an intuition and also just saw like something's off. Like what? I mean, he was very argumentative, was very much trying to keep me from going because he took me into a bathroom. But
Mm.
yeah, it was wild. And I think for so long I didn't talk about that a lot because I was so young. I felt like people would think I was lying. I think little girls are made to believe pretty early that there's no point in saying anything and we
Yeah.
aren't believed. My grandma didn't believe me because she's not the person I talked to about it until much later. She did not believe me and it
Mm.
was crushing because it was like, why the fuck would I lie about that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the
Yeah.
second time was I was 5 or 6, and that was the teenager down the street. And I remember, I think my brothers were distracted in the front yard, but I remember afterwards crying because he left us home alone. And I went down to find him. I didn't put 2 and 2 together that it was a teenager and not some grown man until later, thinking back, like he's playing catch of football in the front yard with his friends. So probably not like a grown man. But I remember going, I'm like, you're supposed to be babysitting us. What the hell? And he
Yeah.
didn't come back. And we were left in that house for days by ourselves.
Gee.
I think the only reason that I remember the police showing up, so someone reported that we were there by
What is
ourselves.
that, if you don't mind, what is that like? What do you remember when, obviously you can look back on it now and dissect it, but do you remember how you felt in those moments? Was it just we're home alone again, so you just did your thing, or we're like, oh my God, we're abandoned again? What were your thoughts when you were left home alone so frequently like that? For days. Did you even
I
know
think
when your
there was
mom was going
worry
to come
about
back?
food. I remember one time getting worried because we were down to the last bit of food, but I felt relief because my mom was a
Um,
fucking psycho.
wow.
When I was, first of all, the only one she physically abused, and she beat the shit out of me. And I guess I don't know why. She just felt safer with me to do that. I really don't know why. I agitated her spirit. I don't know. But I was the only one she physically abused. And I hated, my older brother and I hated the dynamic between her and my younger brother because she didn't even scream at him, and she's not
Mm,
hurting him in any way, and very much he's the baby and whatever. So he didn't have to be a part of our system, and we needed every part of the system to do its
right.
part because we
Right.
know we're about to be left alone again for God knows how long. Like, you have to learn how to pull your weight here, brother. So it really was a lot of that. But for myself personally, and I think I could speak for my older brother too, I felt relief. I was not sad for a second she was gone. In fact, one of the times that we were discovered to have been home alone, my grandma showed up on Easter, and we had left a little note, because I will say this, as non-religious as I am now, I'm so grateful to these little bus driver, like little youth ministers who were willing to drive that church bus. We were the church bus kids,
Oh,
and they would find us, like they'd come pick us up. So we left our mom a note on Easter. She'd been gone 5 days at this point, but hey, mom, we went to church, so don't worry about us, whatever. My grandma came over to bring us some Easter baskets. And she shows up, finds the note, and when we got off the church bus, she was there. And we're like, Grandma, what are you doing here? And she's like, Where the hell is your mom?
oh my
And we're like,
gosh.
Oh, she couldn't tell you. So, like, that stuff happened a lot. So, we were very, we would take ourselves to school. But again, we've got this younger brother who won't pull his weight. So, we can't fucking leave you home alone. What are you doing? Come on, get the hell out of
Mm,
bed. But if she was there passed out, they'd just be all snuggled up. We'd be trying to beat the shit out of him to get out of bed because, like, we have to do things. Like,
mm,
so very parentified at a very young age,
yeah.
but we have a sibling who doesn't give a shit about our parentifying.
Oh,
They're like, oh,
wow.
you're not my mom. And we're like, she sucks at this. So get out of bed. So
How can
really
you
it
not
created
see
the
that?
worst dynamics between us, like the worst. It was awful.
Yeah, I just can't. It's very interesting and eye-opening for me to hear you say that was a relief because in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, you're like 5 years old and you get left at home and that's so scary and you don't know how to feed yourself and you don't know how to like, but
Yeah,
then
I mean,
it
maybe if I
makes
was the
sense.
oldest, it wouldn't have felt, but I just, like, my older brother, like, he was the leader. We were a team, really, but, like, he was the leader, and I felt safe with him. I felt safer with him than I did with my mom. My mom was a
Mm,
raging psycho. Like, she really just had zero coping skills and could not control her emotions at all. There was this time in that house where my grandma discovered us on Easter. I wrote about this in the book that I wrote about my story, but this is really one of the only stories that really just hurt me to my core because I was trying to do the right thing. But she's drunk and high and whatever with all the people that she's got around us. That's the other thing is, if she's gone, those people are not in our house. She's just
mm,
out. And those people are not nice. They're fucked up too. Now, sometimes they feel a little sorry for the kid in the house, but they think they're going to parent us, and do they have any skills to parent? No. So again, like, it was just like, you take them out there and we'll just be here in our bubble. But long story short, she and the neighbor had gotten into something, and that was the other thing. She was constantly beating someone's ass, like getting arrested for beating the shit out of a neighbor. But she and this neighbor were no longer friends, and so she, like, goes to the door and she's like, hot bitch, I got your dress. And I was like, why is she keeping her dress? That's what? So I end up sneaking this dress back to the neighbor because I have this, like, conscious about this. Oh my God, that is not okay. If somebody took my dress, I would just be like, I'm over empathetic for this poor sweet neighbor, whatever. And that had happened around the same time. And then when my mom goes to, because she wants to hold it against the neighbor again, she goes to look for it. She can't find it. And I was like,
uh-oh.
and she's like, Where's the dress? And I was like, I gave it back to her. And she's like, Why? And I'm like, Because that's what Jesus would want.
Well, that's a good answer.
I believed it. I was like, Because Jesus wouldn't want us to steal the neighbor's dress. And she's, Do you think Jesus would fucking like it if you took this? And naming all the shit that the neighbor supposedly stole from her. And I was like, But I didn't know those things. And she's,
Right.
Of course you fucking didn't. She beat
Mm,
the shit out of me over that. So
mm,
yeah, you can
yeah,
imagine my relief when she was away from me.
that's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the weird dynamics between our my brothers and me. Now, I was not like this. Maybe I was. I don't remember. But I will say I don't remember being this way. they were very throw me under the bus for any possible thing so that the attention was off of them. That's probably one of the reasons I was physically abused and they weren't. But if I vented anything to them, they told my mom. If they overheard me
Mm.
disclosing something to my grandma, they told my mom.
Oh no.
So there was just,
They had some loyalty to her in that regard, apparently.
I know my younger brother did. My older brother was just manipulative. He learned
Mm.
those tactics from a very young age. He knew how to get what he needed to do to navigate that environment, and I can't hate him for it. But at the time, it was rough. Damn, brother, you just got my ass beat. Like, why did you tell her
Mm.
that? But yeah, so that's why I felt relief. She was just so
Yeah.
fucking unsafe. There wasn't a day of safety with her
Mm.
because even when she had a 2 year or 22-month period of sobriety when I was a teenager, and she wasn't that different. Yeah, she could control
Really?
herself to not abuse me, but she was so wounded and she didn't seek help for those. It's like she never understood why she became
Yeah.
an addict to begin with.
Yeah.
What she was trying to hide from and run from. She didn't learn to express any of that stuff. She had a horrific childhood.
Mm.
Like as an adult now, I can look back and see like why all of that
Sure.
transpired, but like she couldn't make those connections.
Mm.
And yeah, she was trying so hard, but there was just so much that she didn't know how to deal with. So I
Yeah.
never really felt safe with her until, so she died when I was 22, but she'd had a period of incarceration before that. So she was technically incarcerated in a maximum security prison when she died, even though it happened at a hospital. But when the event transpired to land her in the hospital, like that happened in the maximum security prison. So we had, that was a period of both of our lives that was such a gift to me because she opted to be clean and sober in prison because that is a choice. You can get as much or more of substances in prison, and
Yeah.
she wanted the sober life, and that's what she chose. And that was really our time to just lay it all out in both of our limited capacities, obviously, because I'm 22 and she hasn't dealt with shit. So neither of my parents made it to the age of 40, honestly. But
Wow.
yeah, so he was 38. He died 10 days after his 38th birthday, and she died a few months before her 40th.
Wow.
So she was 39. But I felt a lot of relief because I knew she was safe. She was working a program. She was looking forward to the future. She had plans, ideals that really just there had been no way to even formulate prior to that. So
Mm.
it really was a gift for me because we did lay it all out in a very safe way to say, I'm really sorry for this. And
Oh.
though I don't really feel like the things I apologized for were my fault or like I had to or owed her that or whatever. I did care deeply about the things that hurt her. And ultimately, she just had this little inner child that never took the
Hmm.
developmental steps. And so she was just so wounded. And I've been able during motherhood, I there it certainly like especially having a daughter. My daughter didn't come till much later, and that was like really the first time I had really been triggered to have flashbacks of those sexual abuses. I was always cognizant of them, but they really, yes, they had some impact on my hypersexuality and things like that. But it didn't, I am so lucky I never blamed myself for those things. I didn't take on shame or guilt around them at all. I knew that wasn't my fault. Those people who did that are fucked up and I'm not. So I feel really lucky that was not something that I had to struggle with. But when I started changing my daughter's diapers and stuff, there was a lot of flashbacks, especially around like the ages that, I mean, granted, she wasn't 5 or 6 in diapers. When we were at the like 18-month mark, things like that, as we were getting older, I was definitely struggling. And in fact, I had to ask my husband to stop changing her diaper on the bed because like the
Oh.
second abuse, the way it had happened, I was like, it's giving me way too many flashbacks and it makes me feel really ill. And so he was like, what the fuck? I'm like, I'm not accusing you of shit, I'm saying this is making me think about my abuse. I need
Yeah.
you to not do that. And I didn't even, that was not ever something that I would have thought I would struggle with because
Yeah.
truly I never felt impact. Yes, obviously, I can look back and go, that created dissafety and dissociation from my body. Yes, I can recognize now what the impact was, but I don't know that there was a lot of emotional impact from the experiences because I didn't carry shame or guilt. So I was very surprised to have any sort of weirdness around it later.
Mhm.
But I did go through periods of anger with my parents after becoming a parent because I'm like, listen, like even once I realized I suck at this too, I could never harm my children the way I was harmed. So it was like very hard for me to understand. And I'm like, I guess it's just the drugs. Like I that's the only thing that made sense to me because I could never do that. Yes, I was a screamer. Not gonna lie and say I wasn't. Like, yes, I've been a psycho, but not to that level, and I never harmed them physically. So I just didn't
Yeah.
understand. So that's been part of the work too, is just getting to a place where I'm at peace with myself and the decisions I've made, and I understand why they were who they were.
That's, yeah, really, when you can get to that place, you realize that they are the way they are because of their lived experience. And they were
Yeah.
like, you, I don't know, you lived a pretty rough childhood. So I hate to say it, but it's like they did the best they could
But they
with what they
did.
knew.
But
Yeah.
if you think about, and I think too, that's really my biggest message in everything I'm doing is once I really learned about my wounding, not just their wounding was the exact same. We're all walking around with the exact same wounds. And they're created even very similarly. Like it's just one of a few things because I can hear people's betrayal when they're talking. Like, oh, that really you felt betrayed by that. I can hear their neglect. I can hear their rejection. I can hear their abandonment because I'm very intimately aware of mine. So once I really got there with myself, I was like, oh, that's what that was.
Mm.
And learning to love myself, not just in spite of, but for all of those things, all of the things that make me magical, and having this unconditional positive regard for myself,
Mm.
it makes it so easy to have that for them too. My grandma was the hardest to let go of because I held her to a higher standard, and also, she's the one who parented me the most. So I
Yeah.
got like a lot of damage from her because she had so many narcissistic traits. And so it really caused so much impact for me. But it was one day, not that long, within the last year, on on my show with someone else, that I was like, oh, she did that for the same reason I did that. And so I was
Mhm.
able to just release it. And I am not like someone who says you have to or preachy about that. I think it will come when it's
Mhm.
supposed to. That release and forgiveness, if you want to use that word, and the peace around it, I do believe it will come, but I don't think that it will prevent you from moving forward if you're not there yet. So
Yeah.
I try to be very cautious around language with that because I
Yeah.
know that there was times that I would hear, if you want this for you, you have to forgive or you're not going to get there. And it's fuck, dude, then I'm not getting there. And it's not like that. I think all of this healing happens in stages, and forgiveness happens in stages, and it happens in levels. And I think I've been really lucky to get to revisit lessons on a deeper level and then go, man, and look how far I've come since the first time I encountered this
Mm.
lesson.
Yeah. You can't force it, right? Like you can't.
No, you can't.
And I think that sometimes we get stuck in that of this is what I'm supposed to do, and this is how I'm supposed to
Yes.
get there, and this is how.
Mm.
Actually, I'm very glad that we are in an age where like we're able to acknowledge a lot of these issues, and there's a lot more people talking about mental health and abuse and like trauma and all the things. But like you also can't force it. Like
Right.
it does. It has to come when you're ready, when your soul's ready to let it go, and that's okay. And like, I've definitely had the toxic positivity and stuff thrown at me in my life. And
Whew.
oh, if you just stay positive and manifest
Mindset
it and forgive and like all these things. And I do think that sets you free at some point a little bit more, but you can't
when it's organic.
force it. Yes.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
does because but the freedom comes not from being able to forgive, but from tapping into oneness. Like
Mm,
the
mhm.
idea of humanity, like love and joy. That's why, because you get to experience that on a deeper level, not because of some arbitrary rule that you have to forgive.
Right.
Forgiveness And release will come in divine timing, I believe, when you are doing the work on you.
Mm.
Will come. I really do believe that. But you don't have to look for it. You don't have to go look on the map. And I think that's really been the lesson I've come home to this week alone. Because, so I told you off air that we lost a child a couple of months ago. I think it's been 2 months now, to an accidental overdose. He was 18 years old. And I've been really committed to, I've experienced so much loss in my life. Apparently,
Mm.
I signed up for some real shit. It was my worst fears. It is for every mom, and it is the worst. Doesn't mean I'm not going to say it's not, but I believe suffering is a choice. And so, as painful as it is, I'm holding both the loss and the emptiness that he has left with the idea that I fucking matter enough to continue to have. It's not about like he wouldn't want me to or the world or whatever. It is
Mm.
about I have done way too much work on myself over these last 2 years to just decide that none of this matters to me anymore. All matters more now than anything. And so I've really just tried to make sure I'm not reverting back to old patterns of getting stuck in my head. We
Mm.
don't know what he overdosed on. To me, it doesn't matter. He's gone and he's not coming back. It matters to my family. So we are still waiting on like toxicology and autopsy and all
Oh.
of that stuff. We have no idea. It's a whole thing. But for me, it doesn't matter because what matters is that he's gone. But I have really, at first, it was, I was crying a lot, obviously, and I was happy about that because it felt good. And just the first month was, it wasn't a blur. I was very present and very grounded. I was very intentional about those things. And it went very slow. It was weird for me.
Mm.
My son would
Mhm.
say different, but, and then this second month, it's been very strange and I can't even really describe it. It felt very fast. Like when I'm saying in December, that feels 2 weeks ago.
Mm.
Whereas like the first month, it felt the right distance, but like now it's, oh, what? It's been 2 months? That's weird. So I'm saying that because last, this past week, not this past week, but the one before that, it was the hardest week yet. And I was also on my period, but it was very
That never
dark.
helps anything, just like
Right.
thick.
Exactly, exactly. And so I was like, "Oh, this is not good," because that's some real darkness entered to where I was like, "Ooh, can I do this? I'm not
Mm.
sure how many years I can live
Mm.
like this because it is a
No.
constant work using the tools,
Choice. Mhm.
constant using the tools. Like it does.
Mm.
There's not a single minute of my life that I am not acutely aware that he is gone
Mm.
until this week. Because last week scared me because it was dark, and then this week I've had a weird feeling of disconnection and I was scared of the darkness. And then for 5 seconds, I was scared of this like disconnection. And then because of some other lessons I've been learning over the last couple of weeks, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be grieving the rest of my life. Obviously, there's going
Mm.
to be cycles. I'm going to quit being so afraid of this. Grief isn't a problem to be fixed. And so I've got to
It
learn.
doesn't get fixed, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got to learn how to ride the waves a little
The waves are so
easier.
hard.
Yeah,
I'm so
I've got to learn how to like not try to control shit so much. And so I think in that I there was a freedom in that to where I was like, yeah, you know what? Let's not take ourselves so seriously because I don't know if you're into astrology, but I'm super
Mhm.
into astrology. We'll have to talk about that sometime because I'm in Aries rising, so Saturn was moving into my fucking first house, and I'm fucking terrified.
Mm.
And actually, Saturn was in Pisces both when my son died and when my dad died.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So I'm like, I can't take anymore. And then, like, I was telling his girlfriend and her mom came over last night, and I was telling them that no, like, as much as I want to accomplish on this earth, it really is about I keep going so that whenever I die and it's like life review time, I just envision all my people being like,
Oh, I love that.
you did it, sis. Like you did it. That's what I care about. And then it was
Mm.
also like I've had this deep yearning my whole life to be as wise as possible and evolve as much as possible. And I'm like, fuck, I need to quit asking for that because I don't want any more shit. Like I just don't want any more shit. Because I used to pray for wisdom every fucking night as a little kid because of
Mm,
hearing the stupid story about King Solomon. And somewhere in my spirit, I must have known my little higher self was just always present trying to help me through shit, because there's been so many times in my life that I can recognize that's who was guiding me. But
mm,
I'm tired. Like, I
mm,
don't want any more shit for a while. So I'm like, no, this needs to be a season of reckoning for me where like
mm,
all my wildest dreams come true, because that's the
mm.
only fair fucking thing right now.
Yes.
After all that, it's the only fair thing, and I deserve it. And
It's so hard though, right? Because it's these things that make us into better people,
yes,
unfortunately. And so I totally
yes,
get that sentiment of like, why do
yes.
I have to keep, like, I wish that no one in my life had to go through hard shit. But the
Uh-huh.
reality is, like, my hard shit has made me into a better person. And I hate that's the case, but it is just what it is. And every single person I've had on this podcast that has shared their stories, like, as much as, of course, we don't want to struggle, but everybody's able to
Yeah.
change it. It's my story. It's made me who I am. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm tired of it. Like, why does life have to be so hard sometimes? Oh,
Yes. And I think for me, with my belief system, I really do believe that I signed up for this experience and that so did my kids, and they chose me. I chose my parents, and so we really picked our struggles for what we wanted to get out of this experience, and that is very comforting to me, and it does help me to forgive myself for all of my wrongdoings with my children and all of my missteps and all the things I didn't know better about, because they knew what they were signing up for and I knew what I was signing up for. And also it just helps me to believe like there is so much purpose in all the things. And that's why I don't just forgive myself for being imperfect. I embrace that about myself,
mm,
because I do believe that's where all the alchemy lies,
mm,
is the fact that I'm so okay with fucking up and letting other people know how I'm fucking up and what I'm doing to just take the step after the fuck up. And
yeah.
I'm very passionate and committed to talking about what I'm experiencing in real time, not just, oh, I experienced this and got to the other side, but very what's happening in my life right now and what that looks like and what being a real imperfect human looks like, but also a human that is so fucking full of love and joy
Mm,
and magic, and how you can have all of that. I can hold the worst pain of my life at the same depth as the biggest love and joys of my life.
mm,
And I can have all of that at once. It doesn't have to be either or. That pain does serve its purpose. And I've
yeah.
learned so much more about myself just in the last 2 months. One of those things being profound gratitude to me for doing the work so that I could
Yeah.
withstand this, because I have two other children. I could have been the reason they were really destroyed from
Yeah.
losing their brother, but I'm not. I'm standing in that gap and I'm modeling it's okay to be really broken hearted about this, but not let it break you. And
Mm,
and what that looks like, it doesn't look like I'm tough. There's no fucking tough. I'm soft as shit. But like, soft is the new tough, you know? Like,
yeah.
letting it hurt you because
Feel
it
the feels.
should. Yeah, it should hurt you. Just like the shit on the news every day should hurt you. And the fact that it's not like registering as pain to people is where the problem lies. And it's
Mm,
all just the things we do to dismiss our own hurt so
mm,
that you're not able to feel hurt for other people's experiences.
yes.
And so for me, it's just about being wide open to experience all of it, in particular the pain. Take that pain. Like it is like part of your warrior
Mm.
stripes.
Yeah, it's so true. And yeah, nobody likes to talk about being in the middle of the nitty-gritty. Nobody like, which is, as I told you, like part of the reason I started this podcast, because I'm like, I'm so tired
Exactly.
of seeing the happy, I don't know, a little bit more context. I've gone through some infertility struggles and I am not the story that
Mm.
everybody wants to hear. I didn't have children. I didn't have success. And there were times where people were like, oh, when it's meant to be, it'll
Oh,
happen.
I know.
And all the positivity of it'll, when I did IVF, it's, oh, it only takes one embryo and things like that. And I'm like, no, this
Yeah,
fucking sucks. It's the
it's
hardest fucking thing I've
atrocious.
ever been through. And no matter what all those people told me, that's not how it ended up. And so I just wanted, it doesn't always end up happy ending at the very end. And I hope that everybody takes
Right.
their experiences and can at the very least better themselves and live happier lives at some point. But it doesn't always end up the way that everyone wants it to end up or expects it to end up. And
Right.
then like I'm trying to navigate the childless life, which is not the way that I thought my life would go. And that happens a lot too. You did not think that your son was going to die. So now you have to navigate that moving forward. And that is not how you
Right.
pictured your life. That is not what was supposed to happen. And you have to figure out how to get through that too. So it's life is just messy and it's hard. And when I do, I want to acknowledge the struggles because it sucks. And there was a long time period of generations where we just didn't talk about it. And now we're talking about it.
At all.
Talk more.
At all. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just want to say too, infertility is maybe I feel like it's such a lonely road because it's like all losses, maybe because I feel like it's the same as like how isolated I feel right now just because I was his only mother. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but I feel like it's the same
Mhm.
because people don't fucking get it. And I had infertility struggles, but obviously not to the level that you did. So I'm not comparing, but I am saying I can empathize with it. And I've walked that journey with other people, and it is such a fucking painful road. And the shit you hear is so ridiculous. Like, and I had a miscarriage before my daughter, and the whole, at least you can get pregnant. And my grandma, so we had to take, again, this is nothing. My struggle was nothing.
Mhm.
But I remember the month after month feeling like my period was a miscarriage because it wasn't. You know what I remember that
Yeah.
feeling. But I had to take with Jake.
Okay.
And I remember my grandma being like, God probably knows you don't need any more kids. She was such a bitch about it.
No.
At the same time that my fucking little brother, he has had a child every time I've had a child. Okay. Didn't need a single fucking one of them, but that's fine. And I was like, but God, okay, okay, Grandma, let's back up. Babies are a blessing. That's what you're
Mhm.
saying. You're saying God determines this and whatever. They're a blessing. He deserved to be blessed with this. You're saying He knows I shouldn't be given more children because you think I'm a terrible mother, which at that point I really wasn't. Like that first
Mhm.
one, I did have some unrealistic expectations and whatever. But like when he was really little, I was pretty straight. Like we were doing all right. But then she told me I was messing with nature, like all these things. Like she had the worst things to say to me because she had never, of course she was fucking fertile myrtle. The people who shouldn't have 5 kids get them all
Yeah.
the fucking time. And
Yeah.
that was the anger that I felt watching
Mhm.
crackheads. I'm so sorry, that's so
Yep.
fucking rude to say, but still watching these
I
people
feel
who
you.
are literally using crack while pregnant,
Mhm.
just, or
Mhm.
the 16-year-old, like these
Mhm.
people, I was just like, what the fuck? They deserve children more than I do. Later I could see, oh, that was a part of things I needed to experience. So
I
it was,
know.
I also had a way different belief system by the time I got there than I did whenever, because I was fully believing in this idea I had been sold about ordainment and no control and all of the things. And that there was just this puppet master in charge of
Mhm.
what my life was supposed to look like. I'm much more content in this belief system saying I chose this. Like this is
Mhm.
an experience I said I was going to have. Maybe not each particular lesson, but that my soul wanted to evolve in this way.
Mhm.
Only takes this level of bullshit to get there. So, okay,
Yeah.
fine, we're going to do it. But
Yeah.
yes, I don't want you to feel like I'm saying I know how you feel
No,
because
yeah.
I don't, because
Hmm.
I do have children, but I do remember how fucking awful it was when I was struggling and
Yeah.
going through miscarriages and then watching a sister-in-law even have a stillbirth at 41 weeks and the shit people said to her. It is unreal what people think that they
Mhm.
can say around infertility and child miscarriages and early child loss. It is unbelievable the amount of pain they pile onto the shit because they they don't know how to just sit and go, God damn, that sucks.
And it's like you were talking about earlier too, like they just don't,
They
it
don't get
makes
it.
them uncomfortable, especially when they hear I didn't ever succeed, like then that
Yeah,
makes
because there's
everybody
supposed to be a
extra
happy ending.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, they're like,
Uh,
oh, I don't know what that feels like, so I'm going to try to rescue you in this moment so that I don't
yeah.
even have to think about it.
Yeah. And then just tries to make themselves feel better. But
Yes.
now the biggest thing that I get that I don't really know how to navigate still is, so my husband and I travel a lot. And now I'm to the point where I don't really talk about my infertility that often with just strangers. And if you're having a conversation with somebody and then you're like talking about traveling and whatever, and then they're like, do you have kids? And I'm like, I just say no a lot of the times. And they're like, oh, that's why you can travel. And I'm like, okay, what do you say when I tell you that actually I wasn't able to?
Yeah.
It wasn't for lack of trying, let me just tell you.
Right.
It's not that I
Yeah,
didn't
and
want
like
them. It's not that.
how sucky that you have to feel like you had to have a trade-off of kids versus travel.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's my story for another day, but it's just tough. I do
It is.
have a question. I wanted to ask you your relationship with your siblings after all of this.
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, so I told you I have an oldest half brother. I didn't meet him till I was 14 at his high school graduation. And then I have two little sisters who are half sisters too. And I'm only clarifying that because we were raised in separate household,
Mhm.
view them that way,
Right.
but we weren't raised together. So my very oldest brother, who is my half brother. We were in the process of developing a relationship, and then my best friend and I went through divorces around the same time, and they ended up getting together.
Oh.
So, yeah, so that ended up impacting our relationship a little bit because I was jealous for one thing, and because I was like, this is the only fucking normal sibling I have, and
Mm.
I because I wanted a big brother that like wasn't crazy, and so
Sure.
it messed it up. It was mostly my fault, but whatever. We're still in connection and whatever, but the evolution of the relationship stopped at that point. We see each other, we love each other, but we don't have a relationship really.
Okay.
And then, so my older brother that I was raised with is he had a schizophrenic break when he was 19 and I was 18, and he has been chronically unmedicated and unhoused all
Mm.
these years. He is a giant pain in my ass, if I'm just being honest.
Mm.
It's a stressor that I have to deal with all the fucking time because like he learned about buying cell phones recently, and
Mm.
thankfully he didn't pay his bill this month because I'm not getting all the calls and texts, but he just doesn't understand technology and stuff, so he it's very because he's literally been on the streets for ever, but he's it's very difficult. There's not a
Mm.
relationship. There's very much him me being the only person that he could go to for anything, and me being like, but I can't be responsible for
Yeah.
you. So it's one of my greatest heartaches, honestly, because I had to realize that with both of my brothers, so much of this hard shell that I built up around my heart with them and their children was me protecting myself from feeling shame because I haven't reached the level of wealth required to just be able to buy them some place to live. You know what I mean? And yeah, this version of me understands I'm not responsible for them and that's
Mm.
ridiculous. But the versions of me that protected them as much as they protected me and very much was responsible for them feels like there should be a day. And it is, if I'm being honest, and I'm getting even more honest with myself, willing to accept the fact that it is one of my heart's greatest desires to
Mm.
be able to make sure my brothers are safe, that
Yeah.
I know that they are safe. And whether that's just a small little trailer and whatever, I would do that. If I was wealthy enough to do that, I would with no problem, no hesitation.
Mm.
Just for me, then I don't have to worry, and that's great. But I didn't realize how ashamed I felt that I hadn't reached that place where I
Oh.
could take care of them in the way that I wanted to. So I really, and I was emotionally unavailable. I didn't even know how to process what it felt like to watch them suffer through their
Mm.
own lifetimes. And
Which I will commiserate with you on that. Watching the people you love self-destruct is one of the hardest fucking things I've
it
ever had to
is,
do.
yeah, it is.
And not be able to help. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
breaks you in a way that people can't understand unless they've gone through it for
Mhm.
sure. And then just the constant cycle of coming back to the place of this is their journey, it's not mine.
Oh,
I'm a part of this experience, but I'm not responsible for it. And so again, like yes, I would 100%, if I was wealthy, I would 100% get my older brother a little tiny home and my younger brother a home for him and his kids. I'm not saying I'd go buy him a mansion, but I would do that because I love them and I want them to be safe. But the fact that none of us are in that place means that
yeah.
I have to just create that safety within myself to be able to allow myself to feel and not be hard with them. Because my younger brother has 4 kids, my older brother has 3, and I was like not close. My younger brother has one that's 3 weeks younger than the child that I lost. And so we had him a lot just doing cousin stuff because,
Yeah, they were
like,
close in age.
and I allowed closeness with him, but I closed my heart off to almost all of them very young. The narrative for me wasn't what it is consciously, and the conscious narrative is everyone leaves. I didn't realize
Mhm.
that's what was driving the protective layers, but I was like, no, they're just gonna leave, and I don't need more people to get close to and worry about and whatever. So really, I've never had very much of a relationship with any of my nieces and nephews because of that,
Yeah.
which of course is a great source of regret, but it is what it is. But I feel bad for them, but also, damn, how much can one person take on? For I was trying my best to be the best mom I could be, so
Yeah.
it sucks and it happened, but whatever. But like my little brother, I love him so much, and I know that he loves me so much, but it is a constant struggle to not feel pissed because I'm the person he comes to ask. Like, no matter how many times I say, please stop asking, it
Mm,
doesn't stop. And I
really?
understand that, like, you have no one else to ask, and I get that because our grandma died also on Valentine's Day
Oh my
11 years ago.
gosh.
Yeah, so he's been a floating lost person since then because she
Mm.
was his everything.
Oh man.
Yeah, but I think with him it's almost a typical sibling relationship. It's not like horrible. Like I am incredibly close to him, but I'll it's never going to be fully reciprocal because he doesn't have the emotional depth, he doesn't have the
Hmm.
ability in any way shape or form to meet me. But I certainly work on not feeling responsible for him. And then our sisters, I feel close to one of them and much closer to the youngest. I think the youngest and I, it's funny, we're both the girls are a lot like me. They're just different versions of me. So there's the one that we connect on this thing, and then this other one who protects herself and pushes people away. We're both alike in that way. So it's like we've pushed each other away a little bit without even
Mm,
recognizing what we were doing. But since we've lost Jake, all my siblings are trying to rally around me a little bit. So.
mm, that's good. Do you feel, is that good? Will that be helpful, do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Like my brother, it's interesting. He's trying, Lord help him. You know what I mean? But it's at least he's very willing to at least let me talk, which is great. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think they're all showing up to the best of their ability in a way where I do feel incredibly loved and received
Good.
by them.
Good. Good. Goodness, friend, this has been you've been through a lot and I'm so sorry, but I'm also you seem to me like you're doing all the work and you're an amazing soul. So I'm
Thank
sorry that you've
you.
been through everything you've been through. But
Yeah, me too, but not.
yeah.
That's why it's important for me to have conversations like this
Yeah.
because I think yeah, I'm sitting here and not crying and whatever, but that doesn't mean that I don't have those days.
Sure.
And so I think it's important that people see that some of the things that we do to suffer really are our own choice. And
Mhm.
like I'm trying to model even in grief how to like emotions can be very intense, but they will pass in 90 seconds or less if you don't feed it with the thought
Mm,
spiral. So if you can
mm,
learn how to quiet all of that noise, that's why that's the first step that I do with people is getting them to understand why the noise was created and how to get rid of it
yeah.
and learning how to ground and be present and live very intentional lives. Like I am living whatever's in front of me, where my feet are, that's where I am. I don't live in little disassociation land like I used to. I lived on autopilot for so many years. I
Mm,
got here because I had a very bad mental health crisis in 2023, like where I was done. I was giving up.
mm.
Literally, I was very, like, I made a plan. I was going to be gone.
Oh man.
And then I was like, fuck, let's try one more time. And I'm so grateful to the spiritual awakening I had during that time because I was able to get different perspective on some things. And so shifting paradigm just a little bit at a time, that was the greatest gift I could have ever given myself, was to give myself one more chance. But I swear on everything, it can get better. It will get better. There's just, it's not even like we always talk about how hard the work is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, but it's not fucking near as hard as the things I was doing to try not to feel.
Oh.
Nothing hurts me the way that time in my life hurt me. Nothing. I don't feel desperate. Sure, stress happens and I'm like, how the fuck? And yeah, I lost a kid. It fucking sucks. And there
Yeah.
have been days it's, oh my God, how am I going to do this? But that's just my brain trying to like reach for control. I don't know how the fuck I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it the way I'm doing it right now in this
Yeah.
moment. I'm gonna do it
Yeah.
that exact same way in the next moment and tomorrow and the next day. I don't have to live in fear because life's gonna keep unfolding the way life's gonna unfold. But if
Mhm.
I'm being the best me I can be, I'm gonna attract a lot more positive experiences from the love and joy I'm putting out into the universe. Like, again, I'm so grateful to the work that I've done because I had a full belief before that I loved everyone more than they loved me. And then I wouldn't have been able to receive the love that I have been given since losing Jake if I didn't understand I'm the love. I'm the love here.
Mm.
I create the love. And so whenever everyone just started pouring into me in a way that I've never experienced in my life, all I could think was like, I deserve this. This is
Mhm.
the love I've ever given out just coming right back at me. And
Mhm.
it felt good. I felt literally elevated from that love. I've never felt so held in my life, but I didn't used to allow people to hold me. It took understanding I want to be held. I need to be held.
Mhm.
Soft is good. I don't have to be tough anymore. If no one ever called me strong again for the rest of my life, it would be too soon. I don't know what strong is, but I don't want to be that if it means I don't need other people. I need
Yeah.
people. And I'm willing to say, I crave connection. Like, I love fucking podcasting because this is the only connection that I
Yes.
really want in life, is that deep shit. And if you can't come along for that ride, that's okay, but that's what I want.
Yeah, I'm very much, I've started recognizing with myself, I'm very much that way with friends. Like, I've had a few friends over the years that were very surface level, even though, like, we would spend so much time together. It's not like we were just like every once in a while, hey, how's it going? Like, casual
Yes.
friends. We were supposed to be the best of friends, and then they couldn't be real with me. And I just find I connect on such a deeper level when people are real and raw
Yes.
and honest. And maybe that's everybody, but I definitely have recognized that with myself because how can you love each other if you don't know that person even needs love?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, the surface
Um,
stuff just is not for me, and it's such a drain to my system now. And I think that's the number one thing I've learned from grief, is like the ability to really release anything that
mm,
is draining to me. I literally can't do it. I had
yeah.
to cut some clients, like and it's not like I can afford to do that, but I was like, but I cannot dread anything I'm doing because I don't have the extra energy.
Yeah.
I have to only do things that light me up. I was on that path anyway, so it was a real easy transition to be like, okay, that's what we're doing. I'm not doing shit that doesn't make me happy because life's too short. Like,
Way
shit.
too short. Yeah, way too short. We don't, and we only get one, I guess depends on what you
Yes.
believe, but we only get
But
this
we only get
one
this
lived
experience
experience.
once. That's right.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, I'm so serious. I want all of my little spirit family to be so fucking proud of me when I get there. And I want to
Mm.
be proud of myself. I want to
I like
meet my
that
highest
visual.
self and feel that.
I'm gonna hold on to that because I think that's a great way to look at it.
It really does help me. It really does. Because all
Yeah.
this external validation, like, I've learned to live without that. It's great. Like, when people are like, oh, you're doing great, sweetie, or whatever, all that's good. I like it. Like, I'm a human and
Sure.
I'm a fucking Leo moon. I want to be seen. Hell yeah, I want to be seen.
Yeah.
But none of that matters to me as much now as just getting there one day and just being like just my higher self just meeting me and being like, we
Mm.
fucking did it, girl. We did it.
I love that. That's fantastic. This has been so good. This is, and I feel like you and I could just keep, we could just keep going and going, but I am going to start to close this out.
Yes.
So you have two podcasts? Is that the scoop? And
Yes, I have
one,
Emotionally Unavailable. I started that April 29th of 2024. April 29th, I tried to do stuff on that day because it's the day my mom died. And it, God, I don't know if you've had this with your show, but it's really evolved. But truly,
yeah.
what I had to like really get comfortable saying is the fucking show's about me. Okay. I'm not gonna lie to you. It is about me and my
I love
evolution
that.
and me coming to emotional availability because it started because I learned I was emotionally unavailable. And then it's evolved. Every piece of information that I have gotten that's helped me grow as a human came from the guests that I've had on that show. So, yeah, every now and then you get someone who doesn't know how to go below the surface, and I'll air their episode anyway. But for the most part, it's us connecting the way you and I have today,
Yeah.
and people just hearing like the chat and applying it however it works for them. But I'm very real and very raw, and I do not mind disclosing shit nonstop. I've started putting out solo episodes since Jake died to talk about like my lessons in grief and whatever,
Sure.
but not more than one a week. But yeah, and then I met Angie, who's the co-host of we each co-host. I hate acting like I'm the host, she's the co-host, whatever. But we are each host of Unquiet Soul. I met her on Emotionally Unavailable, and
Hmm.
we are born a day apart.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so we have both Gemini sun, both Leo moon. She's a
Wow.
Scorpio rising, I'm an Aries rising, so our houses are different. So it's fun to see where some of that shit like is a little different between us. But I just connected with her so quickly, and I'd been wanting to start another show where it's more consistent, but also a girly coffee chat. And so the
Oh,
way it's
yeah.
evolved really is like, how's your week going? Damn, girl, this is the lesson I'm learning, or I'm struggling in this area. And but it's very friendship and girlhood,
Mm,
but also astrology a little bit and spirituality a little bit, and just like life
mhm.
unfolding. So I like the consistent, and I get to show like my funny side and things like
It's
that.
not as
I wanted
serious.
it, yeah. I mean, I feel like everything I do is pretty serious because I
Yeah.
can't have unserious conversations, but it's certainly not the depths of trauma. It's kind of, oh, have you thought about it like this? Or, man, that's okay that you feel that way. We're basically just giving each other therapy nonstop, but
Yeah.
in a really fun, more lighthearted way, I think.
Yeah.
And so both shows mean a great deal to me. We've only put out, I think, 17 episodes because we only do one show a week for Unquiet Soul. Emotionally Unavailable, I put out 3 episodes a week. So
Oh, yeah.
it's a fucking lot, but
Yeah.
that show is my heartbeat, truly. And people are like, I can't believe you're still doing that, even though you just lost a kid. And I'm like, dude, it's getting me through losing a kid. That show, I, it means everything to me.
Yeah.
It's like another one of my children. I
Yeah.
just love it so much. And so, honestly, that's where I direct everyone to is the
Okay.
show because if you want to work with me, if you want to buy one of the workbooks, if you want to whatever, any of that can happen from the show. Like you can figure that out how to do that through the show.
Yeah.
But I know that it's a powerful place for conversations to happen, and so that's the thing I always try to highlight.
Yeah. Amazing. So you have people can work with you, you have your book, all of that stuff. Where's the best place for people to find you?
Really, I'm the most active on Instagram.
Okay.
That's where like I'm open to DMs, all of that. But also my link tree's right there. My link tree's everywhere. But if you go to Instagram, that's the fastest way to reach me. Just remember that my name is spelled weird.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
Melissa.
yes, those hippie ass parents of mine thought they were doing something real cute. And it's only one S, so it's an A
Yep.
and one S. But yeah, I'm really active on there, and any of my links are there. But that's where I like to, if someone were gonna DM me, that's the place I would prefer that to happen. Or Facebook, but I fucking hate Facebook right now, so I don't want to have to communicate on Facebook because that's where I know people in real life who make me angry.
Oh, wow. So Instagram is where it's at.
Yes.
Love that. All right, my dear. This has been an amazing conversation, and you've already given me a lot of little amazing little gems in this conversation. But do you have any final parting words you want to bestow on my listeners right now?
I think I would just echo what I said earlier is let's stop taking ourselves so seriously because I think so much of that is wrapped up in our own fear that we're doing
Mm,
this wrong, that we're manifesting bad shit because we don't know how to do it. And I think that we're just living in a real fear. And if we can get to a place where we understand it's going to unfold how it's going to unfold and what will be, well, is the vibrations that you put out.
mm,
And also I would say, I know that some of us, like me, the healers of the world, we're being told that we're bypassing and that we're not doing enough for the movement of the things that are happening
mm,
on the collective level. And for myself, I've had to say, fuck that. You don't get to tell me how I activist.
mhm,
And the greatest gift I can give the collective and this world is the continual work on my own shit. Because when
mhm,
you change, the world around you changes. And that's the
mhm,
way that we're going to make the changes that we want in the collective. If you're the person out there who's can do those things, you have the capacity to do all that, fuck yeah, go do it. But if you're like me and you're having to keep your world really small right now so that you can get through some of the hardest shit you've ever gone through,
mhm.
that's okay too. Your
Yes,
role in this matters just as much. And just
yes.
keep like pouring into yourself because when you give the world the best version of you, that's how we teach people to love themselves and each
Mm,
other a little bit better. And that's how we get to oneness and how humanity links arms at that
yes.
point, not from spreading hate. It's not. So if the greatest thing that you can do is give yourself more love, that's enough.
Yeah, I recently was having a conversation with someone else who said there's only fear and love in this world and in this life. And I like everything falls into a love box or a fear box. And so that's
Yes.
been popping up a lot for me now.
Yeah, I'm never
That
going to
was
not think about that again, actually. And I feel like that was so well timed for you to tell me that
yeah.
too.
Oh, good. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
well timed for me to hear it too. And now you're talking about love and fear. And it's amazing how those themes just continuously pop up when you start paying attention.
Thank you so much for having me on. This has been
Yes.
beautiful.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you for coming on. I really have enjoyed this conversation a lot, and maybe we could have you back again at some point and talk some more.
Yes, and I'd love to have you.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for your vulnerability too with all the recent events as well, because I know
Yeah.
I never take that for granted. I'm very grateful that you were willing to come on here and share everything that you have. So thank you very much. And thank you everybody for listening. We'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you enjoyed our conversation and found value in the stories shared, please consider following us on your preferred podcast platform. Your ratings and reviews make a huge difference. They help us reach more listeners and continue bringing you engaging, insightful content. We appreciate your support and would love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Until next time, keep listening, growing, and sharing.